Hello, my name is Joel, this is Rebecca, and together we play as Rosebriar Creek. Feel free to look us up on the web. I'm going to continue the lesson that I called shapes in the past. As always, I'm going to look at the guitar from my right hand and my left hand separately, and then I'm trying to make connections that will help you with your hearing and put these ideas firmly in your brain. Now, in order to do the shapes we have today, you need to make sure that you've done some work with the rest stroke. The rest stroke, as you recall in earlier lessons, means that I take my pick and I simply push down with my thumb and land on the string below. Now, I don't have to keep it to one string or to one note. I can do this with chords as well. I'm going to go to the very first shape that we showed you, and that is what I will refer to as the E minor shape. And that means that I'm going to put my first finger on the A string, 2nd fret, and my second finger on the D string, 2nd fret. They're both in the same fret. Now, if I hit just the lowest note here, I have what's usually referred to as the bass of the chord. I can hit 2 strings and land on the D note, and now I have a power chord. I could go for 3 strings and reinforce that power chord and land on the G. I could go for 4 strings and land on the B. That added the 3rd to the chord. And now I'll add the 5th and go all the way to the E string. If I use all 6, just be careful not to go too far down away from the string themselves. Now, this particular shape, you'll notice that there are only 2 notes that are fretted. My B and my E, both located at this point on the A and D string. If I work on rest stroking just those 2 strings, I have what I'm going to refer to as an active sound. I can take this sound and move it anywhere up the neck, or I can move it vertically up and down. So a vertical motion might be like we did before, where I take those 2 sounds and I drop both of them down 1 set. Now, it just so happens I can play those 2 sounds as a full chord. But we're going to concentrate on working with the sounds that are active, and those are the ones that are fretted. I can use this active shape, and I can move it up the neck chromatically, just as we started to work with in the past. Chromatically, next place higher, take your time. Now I could do the exact same thing on the next set of strings down, go to the, right there. Very good. I'm going to make an example of this sound here. One of them might end up like this. And I'm going to go to the 5th fret and go chromatically down. And make up my own pattern. I'm going to start this shape lesson up in the middle of the guitar, on the 5th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm using right now my 1st and 2nd fingers. However, if I switch them out with the 2nd and 3rd, I get exactly the same sound. If I switch it out with the 3rd and 4th, I get exactly the same sound. Each of those fingerings give me different possibilities. So you don't want to just play it one way. You might want to try it with all possibilities. And I'm just switching out my fingers. I'm going to go to the middle two fingers for right now, and that is my second and third finger, because then I have a finger free on my left side, my pinky, on my index, and on the right I have my pinky. Now, here's an example I might come up with from this place here. Simple song that most people know. Do you have one for us, Rebecca? Now that could be the basis for a song that you've written yourself. That's a good lick that could become something much more than a simple lick. The next shape, what I'm going to do is switch out my ring finger for my first finger. Now I get this sound.
What fret do you want my first finger on?
On the 4th fret. Remember to use the rest strokes. You hear only the active sounds at this point. Now, I can play something along these lines. If I go vertically down and then vertically up, some of you might recognize that as a possible song. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. It has the quality of that song because I'm using what's known as a major third. Now there's a little idea that you're going to want to know about. With these shapes, if I move the shape vertically down, I'm actually moving to a different chord. And in this case, the relationship between the chord is a 1 to a 4. So on this particular in this particular example here, I'm on a D chord. And I know that because my my middle finger, the higher finger of the two, is giving me what's known as the root. If I fold down, I end up on a G chord. And the root, again, is going to be where my middle finger is, the higher of the two fingers. And then I can come back to my home sound. The relationship 1 to 4 is simple. You just think, if you start on D, that's our 1. Something on E would be 2, something on F would be 3, something on G would be 4. D to G is a 1 to 4 sound. Now if I go high or go up, I get a 5 chord. D is 1, E is 2, some sort of F is 3, G is 4, A is 5. So I'm getting a 1 to 5 if I go up. So I have a little easy way to remember that. It's 4 to the floor. You take your shape and go to the floor. You're going somewhere with a 4 sound. If you take your shape back to home and you go high, high 5, you're getting a 5 sound. And that makes it easier to start making songs as we get a little better at this. Now, do you have an example for us? Now you might have noticed she went high. She went for the high 5. Ready? And she went up to the 5. Now she moved down, so she went to an alternate 4 and came right back to her 5 and then started that up again. There's a load of songs that could use a sound like that. 1, 4, 5s are the most popular chords in the family of chords for any scale. So, let's see. It's late in the evening. She wonders what clothes to wear. So she puts on her makeup and brushes her long blonde hair, etc., etc. The next shape, you might guess I could take my first finger and drop it down. Only problem is I lose track of the 1 finger per fret rule. It doesn't matter where the first finger lands, I want to be able to put one of the 4 fingers in a row. So the best way for me to reach that would be to put my 3rd finger on the A string 5th fret, and then my first finger lands comfortably on the note below. Now do the rest stroke, and we have a minor 3rd for minor songs. Here's an example I might use, and I'll work horizontally. Do you have one for us? All right, do that again. So she went vertically down, that means it went to a 4 chord. She comes back to home, and then she went 1 place lower and came up with that particular sound right there. And again, that could possibly be the start of a song of any kind. This interval of the 3rd needs, of the minor 3rd needs this shape. Notice too, before we move on, that I could have used my 2nd finger to make the major 3rd sound. The 2nd finger on the string below, put your 3rd finger, no, that's right. So if I want to go from major to minor, I simply flip out my 1st and 2nd fingers. And you might notice that if I don't move the 1st finger, I can switch easier. Try and look for anything that will make it easier to do it, where you use less energy. I could put my pinky down there and get the 4th. Here's the major 3rd, here's the minor 3rd. Very nice. Now, I'm run out of fingers because all my fingers, when I got my 3rd and 4th here, I can't go higher. So it makes sense for me now, if I want to try it from the other angle, to use the 1st and 2nd. On our 5th string, up on our 5th string, together on the 4th. Make the 1st shape on. That's right. Now, it might make sense to you then to just stretch that 2nd finger up to the 1st, for the 1st fret above it, the 6th fret, and now I get this sound. Up.
Up, like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Horizontally. See, we're working with the same 2 strings. This particular sound is what I would call dissonant. In fact, Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. This particular sound, however, is known as the tritone, and it has a history in music known as the devil's sound. And in ancient times, churches were not allowed to use this particular sound. So we're going to skip over that for the time being. If you're into heavy metal, you're going to hear a lot of that in that music. The next, so I'm going to do is take my 3rd finger on the string below the 1st finger, and I'm going to get this sound. Here I'm playing what's known as a 5th, also commonly called the power chord. Example, might use, remember you can practice these things chromatically to get good at them. I'm going to do a vertical motion down, so it's 1 to 4. I'm gonna, instead of going high for my 5, I'm just gonna go to the next place that I can go, 2 frets higher, and then come back down to my 4. So I still get a 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 4 is the basis for songs like Louie Louie, Wild Thing, a ton of those 60s instrumentals and ballads and rock songs. You got one for us? That's a nice progression. So she's going from the 1 up high for the 5. Now she moves higher, so I get a 6 sound. Then she moves 2 below the 5, so there's a 4. Goes back to the home sound, up for the high 5, and back to the 4. Songs that use this might include things like Let It Be, When I Find Myself in Times of Trouble, Mother Mary Calls to Me, or it could be No Woman No Cry, or it could be Went out to the land of the pines, making my way into North Carolina, looking up the road and praying to God I see headlights. A wagon wheel song. All right, so it has many possibilities. Now, the idea with these shapes is to experiment. Go anywhere you want with them. Go vertically up and down. Go horizontally, sideways. Find things that interest you. Whatever, it's all going to be good. Now, I have another option with these shapes. I can experiment, and I would do it first using the rest stroke. That doesn't sound pleasing to my ear if I go 3s. The 2, obviously, the active notes are going to sound very good. Let me finish this one. The active notes are going to sound very good, but some of the notes surrounding it won't. Like in that example. If I go up here, would it? No. What about here? Oh, that one is not so bad. That is a consonant sound. What if I go for 4 strings? Oh, very nice. What if I go for 5? Now my ear says to me, those sound good together. I might well try the bass. And I have a sound that I could definitely use to start creating music. I'm up on the 7th fret. There you go. Now I can start experimenting, and I'll go for 1 first, please. All right. If I go up 2, and 1 more. What if I go down? Yeah, there's all sorts of possibilities with that one right there. Would you like to try one? Don't be afraid to do these at home and experiment. Now, any of these sounds can work that way. Let's go to the original sound we did with the 1st and 2nd finger in what I'd like to call the E place. Now, I could go up and down the neck and look for places. I notice that where the 5th fret is, I find a place that's consonant to my ear. If I went to the 6th fret, not so much. But the 5th fret, by God, you might want to remember it. It's a part of the reason why the guitar has these little dots on it. Now I go to the 7th fret. I also get a sound that I like. 7 to 1. Sounds pretty good. If I go vertically down to the A position, I will refer to this as the A position. Vertically down. I'm going to find even more places, and the reason for it is the active notes are smack dab in the middle. I would go from whatever the highest active note is and strum down at first. There. Now if I go up one place with that, I end up with this sound. How would you describe it? How would you describe
Dissonant.
it? Dissonant. The 4th fret gives me this sound. Not as dissonant. How about the 5th fret? That's a pretty sound. Now I can use this and come back and forth to start creating something of my own. 6th fret happens to be consonant as well. The 7th fret is consonant. Now, there's nothing to stop me from mixing and matching different tones. So I'm going to switch because I want my first finger available, so I'm going to switch from 1st and 2nd to 2nd and 3rd so that I can put my first finger down and go to this shape. All right? Right. Now, if I start with the original shape, the one where they're both on the same fret, and then take off that ring finger, I get this sound here. In fact, I'll try that. Whole notes at first, making sure I'm getting a good tone. Now I'm going to try to jam it a little bit, get some rhythm in. I'm going to take it down 2 frets and do the same thing. I like it so much I'll repeat it. Consonant sound. Please feel free to explore these shapes. Get your fingers comfortable with the 2-finger shapes, and we'll be able to add them to the chords easier and find ways to move around the chords so that your overall sound will be much smoother and more professional sounding. Wish you luck, and as always, have fun. Thank you.